Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about two important ways that parents can help with ultimate reading success. The idea for this video came to me because I was listening to a radio broadcast from Vermont Public Radio. My friend Nicole from Early Literacy Labs was on there, and a parent called in to ask a question. And essentially the crux of her question was, what can I do as a parent to help? And honestly, the desperation in her voice made me really sad, but I think it's something we all can relate to. So I wanted to maybe come up with an answer to that question of what can we do as parents? I know that every time I would ask somebody what I could be doing as a parent to help, generally the answer I got was just keep reading with her, read out loud to her, keep reading books. And we tried. We really, really try. The hard part is a lot of our dyslexic learners are really resistant to reading and exploring books. And then we feel like there's nothing left for us to do. So we need some fresh ideas. So here are two ways that you as a parent can really have a big impact on your child's ultimate reading success. Number one, help your child build their vocabulary. So vocabulary is the amount of words a child has that they know well enough to be able to use. Kids come into kindergarten with a wide range of vocabulary size. Developmentally normal children who acquired language normally in the normal stages could come into kindergarten knowing 1,000 words. They could come into kindergarten knowing 4,000 words. And you can imagine that the number of words you know is a predictor of how well you might do with reading. So we should start at an early age talking to our kids all the time. We should be not afraid to use grown-up words, not those kind of grown-up words, but you know what I mean, grown-up words with our little kids. And with our dyslexic learners, when we explain a new word, we need to remember that we need to clearly explain it. So don't assume they understand the meaning from the context. Try not to breeze over it and keep going. Maybe stop and do a little bit of explanation. So there are a lot of ways that you could build vocabulary. So the obvious one is reading, but again, we're asking this question because reading is not an easy thing to do with our child. But new words you come across in conversation, TV, song lyrics, take a minute and explain what they are. If you have a chance, if you have the opportunity because you're home or you're able to, write the word down for your child. Just real quick, jot it down. Let them make that association between what letters are in it and the word they just heard. They don't need to memorize how to spell it, but let them just start to make that connection. And when you have some time, if you can, maybe even make a little index card for it, just for that word. Hang it on the fridge, hang it on the wall, hang it around the house where you'll encounter it and it'll remind you to use that word a few more times. Remember, repetition is so important to the dyslexic brain. So just mentioning and explaining the word once is not enough. You gotta keep reusing it. So that's vocabulary. The second thing you could do as a parent that can really impact ultimate reading success is to build what's called the background knowledge. So a child's background knowledge is what they bring into school every day based on their life experience. Stop and think about it for a minute. If you were a child like me who grew up near the water, words like seaweed and hermit crabs and low tide and high tide, those were all in my vocabulary going into school. But I don't think I knew what the word silo was till I was an adult. But if I was a child who grew up on a farm, I might know what silos are, but have no idea what low tide is. So you can see how just basic things like that make it so children bring different amounts and different kinds of background knowledge. So this means, again, just talking to your kid a lot. You can build background knowledge in a number of ways. It can be through talking, it can be through experiences, it can be through play, it can be through science experiments that you do, it can be through crafts that you create, it can be through trips that you take. And did I say TV? Like, I know you're not gonna hear a pediatrician say watch TV very often, but I think the truth is we know our kids are on screens, so let's see what we can do and use them for in terms of an opportunity for teaching about different kinds of background knowledge. Also remember that schools follow curriculums. So teachers often know in advance the things they are going to be teaching about later in the year. So why not ask them? It's not cheating or any sort of disadvantage for you to ask what kind of topics are coming up in school so you can start talking about them at home. So if your teacher says that at some point in the year they'll be doing a unit on outer space, there's an eclipse next week. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what an eclipse is. Let's start using some of the vocabulary, and that will bring more background knowledge for the child to bring to school as they go into their outer space unit. And when they are reading text about outer space, they will have more knowledge, they will have more vocabulary, and it will make reading that text that much easier. Vocabulary and background knowledge are two of the key components for reading comprehension, and reading comprehension is really ultimately reading success. So parents, take a breath. If you can't get your kids to read with you, it's okay. There are these other ways that you can be helping that will ultimately help lead to reading success. All right, I hope that helps you relax a little bit. I hope that poor mom in Vermont gets the answers she needs to help her child. I will link below the Vermont Public Radio broadcast with Nicole Chick if you want to listen to it. It's about dyslexia. It's also about some legislation in the state of Vermont that's coming up about trying to improve detection, early detection of dyslexia and training for teachers on dyslexia. So it was a really interesting listen. All right, I think that's all for now. Parents, stay strong. We totally got this. Bye.